Welcome to the new, welcome to our session on rubrics. Rubrics are a really cool tool, and you've kind of seen how they're used as we've been doing your grading so far. So the definition of a rubric in educational terminology is scoring. Scoring rubric means a standard of performance for a defined population. So let's go into a little bit more about that. So rubrics is an attempt to communicate expectations of quality around a task. Use these to delineate consistent criteria for grading. Um, the criteria are public, which allows students and teachers alike to evaluate the criteria, which can be complex or subjective, and can also provide a basis for self-evaluation, reflection, peer review, and peer review. It really is aimed at accurate and fair assessment, fostering understanding and indicating a way to proceed with subsequent learning and teaching. So, in other words, a rubric, in my eyes, is really an open book for the student and teacher to be on the same page. That means there's no surprises in the grading. The students know exactly what the teacher is expecting, and the student knows exactly what they need to do to get the grade. So let's see some more things. They focus on measuring stated objectives. So in other words, these objectives need to clearly be stated in your lesson or on the board so that your students know exactly what is expected of them. They usually have a range of at which they rate the performances, and they contain specific performance characteristics arranged in levels indicating either the development sophistication of the strategy used or a degree to which the standard has been met. So really that range is really important, and you'll see how that comes into play. So the components of it is one or more traits or criteria that serves as the basis for judging the student's response. These are your objectives. This is exactly what you want them to learn. Definitions and examples to clarify the meaning of each trait or dimensions. Scale of values of which to rate each dimension. So really, you think about it, there's an objective, then the objective is broken down into however many uh, uh, rates or range that you want to have that in. And each one of those rates or range has an example or a definition of what it takes to earn that score. And then you actually have a score in there. And standard of excellence for specific performance levels accompanied by models or examples of each levels. So really, this is the where you find out about these are what you want me to learn. And under each one of those, it's broken down into categories that allow the teacher and student to know exactly what score they will get for what they put in that. Let's say if you're doing a paper, it might say you need to have so many paragraphs, or you need to have so many, you know, whatever it is. I mean, it just designates it. And so you might have a score of range from 5 to 0. 5 being the top score, 0 meaning you didn't accomplish any of it. Other types of rubrics are smiley faces and non-smiley faces or frowny faces, so a more basic component, not points given, but you know whether you've been doing a good job or not. So that is something that you can also see that is type of a rubric that you can use. So what do you need to do to create a rubric? Well, you create a rubric by, first of all, determine what your learning outcomes are, your objectives, which should be rather easy because you've already gone through the process of doing this. So your objectives are already stated in your lessons, so you should know this. Good rule, keep it short and simple. Okay, include 4 to 15 items, use brief statements or phases. I personally think 15 is a lot of items, But when you have a big project, you might need to use up to 15 items to be able to get everything on there. Each rubric item should focus on a different skill or an objective or part of that objective. You might have an objective and then you might have 4 or 5 subcategories of that objective, each one of them having their own rate scale so that you can accomplish that objective. Focus on how students develop and express their learnings. So don't put in things that have nothing to do with the project, okay? Evaluate only measurable criteria. It's very hard to put in there, did you enjoy this process? You can't measure that. That's very hard for you as a teacher to measure. That's a personal item. So don't put things in like that. And this is really important. Ideally, the entire rubric should fit on one sheet of paper. That doesn't mean front and back. One sheet, front, okay? But there again, if this is a really huge project, you might need to go to a front and back, but try to keep it to that one sheet of paper and not go over into a third page, okay? And finally, make sure that you reevaluate the rubric. After you've created it, evaluate it. Did it work? Maybe I need to edit this rubric because that really didn't work, or you know what, I really didn't need that into this objective or this one criteria in there. So let's just get rid of that. And it's best to do that right after you have used it. Update it, because by the time you use it again, sometimes up to a year, because you might only be teaching it once a year, you forget that. So change it right then, and then that way you've got that ready for the next year or next time you use it. There are some examples on how to use the rubrics effectively. And this first link takes you to a website that tells you about rubrics and ways that you can use them. But once you have gone and reviewed that, then the next step is, okay, do I just do this in Word or Excel, or how do I create this rubric? Well, as you well know, in Canvas, rubrics are a tool that we can use, and they're part of Canvas. And so as you create an assignment, one of the options is use a rubric, and you turn that on, and then you go in and enter it. But what if you're not using Canvas? What if you're doing an assignment that's in your class and your kids aren't using Canvas yet? Well, there are many websites out there. I've put 2 down. Rubistar4teachers.org. Rubistar has a great explanation about rubrics and how to use them. And then it has an awesome tool that you can use and go in and create that rubric that you have. But my favorite one that I always use is uen.org/rubric, because they, again, also have a great explanation of what a rubric is and how to create it and the criterias. But they have samples of rubrics that are already made for different subjects that you can then go in and edit and change to your likings and rename it, and then you've got your own rubric already made with very little work done. Or you can start from scratch and you can choose, do I only want a rating of 2, a rating of 3, a rating of 4, a rating of 5, and then how many criteria you want. And you just can keep adding and adding and adding if you need more criteria in there. Both Rubistar and the UEN rubric tool allow you to create from scratch. Both have examples that you can use and edit. And so if you are interested in, go check out those links. For now, thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.